got this package. I don't know what it is. Where did I get it from? I don't know. FedEx brought it. So I don't know what it is. I don't remember ordering anything. I mean, I ordered a lot of things. I just don't remember anything that was coming. So let's see. Maybe I don't want to show it, whatever it is. Oh, I know what it is. Doesn't look very big. It's this blanket that I got. I know, I don't need it. I can read Jamie's mind. I know what he's saying, what he's thinking. We don't need that. We don't.
No, I just gave you that look, but that's not what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking maybe it'd be a nice warm blanket.
I'm thinking Clint was just here and he left because he said our house was too cold. He has wood heat.
We have the door open here too.
Yeah.
Temperature says it's 66 degrees in here.
I got the biggest size. It doesn't look very big, but I have sheets that match this.
They're not very thick, but they're warm and soft.
Yeah. And I have sheets just like this. And so I thought it would be beautiful to have sheets, blanket, the whole thing when you open it up. And then, because now the electric blanket on Jamie's side, mine has been gone all winter. I left it on there for him. You're supposed to hang to dry. And dry cleaning's not allowed, but it's machine washable. It says 30% wool fabrics. I'm surprised.
Wool's good.
I know. So, because if you put it in the dryer, this all gets yucky, balled up probably. Oh, great. I think I put the sheets in the dryer. So, I just changed the bed sheets though, so I don't want to change it again already because, you know, I'm not that energetic. Unless you want to help me. Should I take that electric blanket off, Jamie?
Well, the top sheet that's on there, I'm fighting it all night long.
There's no, because it was untucked. There's no reason. It's a queen size, nice cotton flat sheet. So the only reason
it's
is
either pulled clear off your side over to my side.
It's not mine.
Or
It's
it's
perfect.
pulled clear up from the bottom to where I'm wrapped
wait.
around my neck.
Does this mean we are going to be having twin beds like Lucy
No.
and
We have to
Ricky?
be able to reach over and touch each other.
Okay, then. I just think it was untucked at the bottom, and then you kept pulling.
You did help fix my feet the other day or something.
I put his socks on for him this morning.
I've been really super tired today. I've been under the weather for some reason.
You're not feeling any better energy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
I've had kind of a headache all day too.
Maybe we should take your blood pressure and see what it is since you have a
See
headache.
if I have any blood pressure. I've got to get up and see if I can get the stupid light on my aquarium to come on.
Why? It'll show more.
I cleaned the algae off and changed the filter and everything.
Oh.
And then I bumped the stupid light and it makes it go dim and then you can't get it to brighten again.
I'm sorry. It's his hobby, though, not mine, so I don't know anything about it.
That light was like $300.
I remember.
It's an expensive light, and then the stupid thing's so finicky. It
has a short in it?
Has a brain of its own. It doesn't want to work. Once in a while I get lucky and it'll come on. I couldn't get it to, it's on now, but it's on that dim setting.
Oh.
You can't even see it.
No, you can't.
Let me see if I can get lucky enough to make it change the setting.
I hesitate to even talk to Jamie in front of the video camera because
Hey.
I get criticized. It's
It
on
worked this time.
because people criticize me for how I treat him and what I say to him. Go, honey. Oh, that's so good. You do everything perfect. You're so talented. You never do anything wrong.
You could be like Autumn when she was a little girl.
Go, Grandpa, go.
We were moving into this house. We had to move out of our other house. We had a ton of stuff in the basement. So I was going up and down bringing stuff out of the basement on the other house. Autumn was standing there at the top of the stairs, and as I went past, she gave me a great big shove.
On his bottom.
She just gave me a big shove and about knocked me downstairs.
Go,
Said,
Grandpa,
go. Grandpa, go.
She loved her grandpa when she was little, sitting on his lap, going to sleep.
But when she did it, I was unexpecting it, and I go flying down
Carrying
the top
that
of the
big
stairs.
box, yeah.
No, I think I was empty-handed. I was going down to get another load.
We both have different memories of it. I remember him carrying
She might have did the same thing when I came up with a load too, but
Yeah, maybe.
that was going up onto the flat floor, not onto the stairs.
Oh, maybe.
The one that about tumbled me down the stairs is when I was going back down. Go, Grandpa, go. She thought she was helping, but
Maybe I need a nap.
I've just been so low on energy today. I don't know I can't hardly function.
Jamie and I have been watching this one YouTube channel of these, where do they live? And the mother has 4 children, Iran maybe.
And 2 of those children are orphans that she's taken care of from somebody.
I don't think so. They all look alike.
I know, but they said that she had 2 children.
She breastfeeds one of them, and then they're digging out a hole in the mountain, Rock Mountain, and an avalanche fell on her.
No, it wasn't an avalanche. It was
A landslide.
I heard 2 different stories about it. One of them was that they had a piece of plastic over the top of the tunnel going down to their cave they were making. And one of the stories was she was down inside and it caved in on her. The other story was she was up on top of the plastic doing something and fell in and caved it in or something.
The plastic was still up there, though.
I know, but they said that she had fallen about 9 feet.
Oh. Well, later
But
we
I don't
see.
know how she fell and caved in at the same
No,
time.
I think that an
think-
avalanche is the same as a cave-in.
Well, it was just a
Dirt
the
avalanche.
cave that they were digging out. A big chunk of it fell off and landed on her. And
So then she was out of it, and he came home from school.
the little boy came home from school and found the other 2 little kids bawling over there. They had another little hut that they were living in to dig their cave. And so then anyway, he went over to the cave and found his mother mostly buried. She was just barely, and she was unconscious. And he was frantically trying to dig her out. And then he couldn't dig through the clay anymore, so he ran back to the other hut and got a big cooking spoon type thing. And then he went over there and used it to try to dig. He finally got her dug out enough so he could tip her up, and she came to a little bit, and he got her staggering. She staggered all the way back into the other
Moaning.
hut.
But if come to find, it looks like she broke her
She
back.
broke her back or something.
She has a back turtle brace thing that she wears and a walker. But we've been interested. We can't understand a word they're saying. The
Well,
little
they-
baby, he's crawls around and gets into everything,
Well,
in
then
the
he's-
dirt and the rocks.
Baby was trying to crawl up on top of her when she just got back and was hurt.
Because he wanted to nurse, Anyway,
And then
they don't really care. But that's what we've been watching lately, and it's quite entertaining.
it's so
for us.
sad though what she's had to go through.
and then she hired a man to help.
Well, then I guess after 4 days, somebody took her to the hospital.
Yeah, they came.
And she was in the hospital for a little while. And the little boy's, he's like 10 years old. And he's there having to cook and bathe and
babysit those kids.
Take care of the other 3 brothers. I think one's a girl. The second youngest is a girl.
You can't tell by what they wear because they wear anything. The little baby, I'm sure, is a boy, but it had on a pink pants.
Now, when she got back home, I guess one of the doctors from the hospital came to visit, and they've given her that back brace to put on. And
we recognize it because that's what Chad had when he broke his back, the turtle thing.
They brought her a walker and tried to get her to get up and do a little bit of walking. Anyway, she's been laid up for, seemed like months, while the little 10-year-old or whatever he is, trying to cook for the baby. The little 10-year-old has had to really grow up, and
he does everything.
He has to do everything.
So they have some neighbors down below, but they don't ever talk to them.
Finally, they got some man to come up and help lay some blocks and brick and stuff to help block up
make a roof
entrance to their little hut that they live in.
But I'm still wondering what they're digging this cave for. Is it for the animals?
Well, it was supposed to be a permanent shelter for them, but
their other one
ever
is
since
nice.
It caved in on them, they haven't.
I don't get it. But anyway, I noticed I was watching it yesterday, and when he came to bed, he's telling me all about it. And I go, well, I was watching that too. We both like it. We should be watching it together. But, you could only take so much of Diddy and that listening, all that smut going on.
Yeah, I can't hardly stand any of that.
And then it's just appalling, the things. And the movie stars that are, now they brought in Whitney Houston, how did she die? And they brought in, I saw Will Smith.
Justin Bieber was a big
Bieber, not Bieber.
Bieber in there testifying. And
they're just bringing in so many other names. Michael Jackson today. Anyway.
I don't have my pump out there that runs the bog filter and the waterfall up above there. I need to get that pump put in. And
you said you didn't know where it was. Do you know where it is?
Well, we have 2 pumps. That's the littler pump.
Yeah.
The little pump that runs that bog.
Well, there's no hurry if you don't feel like it.
No, but it's like our decorative waterfall out there. We're not.
If you don't feel like it, don't worry about it, because it'll get done eventually when companies come in. We always get in high gear. The kitchen table's a mess in there. Did you paint that out?
I got and then I found out that the supposedly clear Thompson's water sill was
not clear.
No, it's mauve colored, and it says that it's desert drift or something was the color of it.
Did you already do it?
And I already did it. So I was kind of unhappy that I didn't notice that it was a colored sealer that was on.
Jamie, you have to read labels.
Well, I did. It says big transparent, dries clear.
Yeah. But see, the problem is...
That's the only part I read.
One time he came home with unsalted crackers. He ate them, but they weren't as good, were they?
They were gaggy, I think.
My grandma, she used to buy those, but we would lick them and then sprinkle salt on them and then eat them. You could have licked every one you ate and put salt on it.
I cooked a big pot of carrots that was in the fridge in there needing to be cooked. And then I ate a whole pot of carrots yesterday and gave me diarrhea and sick stomach.
Do you think they want to hear that?
Don't ever just make your whole meal on carrots. You'll find out the hard way. It's not good.
You had a pork chop.
Well, that was later on after I ate the whole pot of carrots.
Oh, my. This blanket does not have a bat in it. It's just 2 of these.
I hope they quilted. That's the problem with these. They don't
not this kind. He hates duvet covers. I won't buy any more of them.
You don't like them to come apart. And
when you put your comforter inside, he hates those. And gets complaining every
Well,
day.
they're always slipping out of place and
Even if you tie
goofing
him.
around. And
I tie him in the corners and everything, and he hates them. So I won't buy him anymore because I don't want to hear him complaining. But this
it kind of
sticks.
depends on how. Some fabrics are slippery and slip around all over. That's one of the things on the bed up there we got now. I don't know whether it's the sheet or the blanket or.
No,
there's one of them down in there that's slippery. And
it's because that is, I'm trying it. The new cool blanket I just bought. It's for summer.
It's cool because it slides off and then you don't
have it. But I'm going to take it off when I do the new bedding. I just wanted to try it out and see the fit and everything, but it does slide all over.
See, I just get the bed. I get the bed all depressed and get everything feeling just dirty. Perfect, and then she's got to rip them all off and put brand new ones on. Then I got to start. Then I have to start all over again.
Do we need twin beds? I like a clean. If I was rich, I would have a clean bed every day. I would have
that's basically
clean sheets every day.
When you go on these cruise ships and everything, if you let the cleaners come in, they redo the beds every day.
And he likes it all worn in and smell like his head. His pillow smells like his head, and then he's home. I think it's man is from woman. Man is from Mars, women are from Venus or something. That way men and women are different. We're not fighting. I'm not criticizing him. He's not criticizing me. We've lived for 30 years. We just know we're both like this.
Well,
I know, but I always get chastised.
I automatically know that the bed's going to be changed every week, and
whether he likes it or not.
Whether I like it or not.
Don't you worry about germs? Do you worry about mites or something that might? Do you worry about the odor, the smell of dirty sheets?
Yeah, sometimes when they get real dirty, they do smell.
Mine don't, because I don't let them get dirty.
It's better to change them once they start to smell.
Did you change? See, if you were a bachelor and didn't have me.
I know that was the problem before I married you and I was a bachelor, I let my bed go too long.
Never, probably.
You put a stop to that the minute we got married.
And I threw those sheets away because they were all balled up muslin, icky ones. I got to have good sheets.
Mm-hmm. I've had better bed.
Since you married me?
Ever since I married you to sleep in.
And nice blankets.
And blankets and different things that you order.
If they get a rip in it, I sew it right then. His quilt was all ripped. How come you didn't stitch it?
I'm not a stitcher, I guess. Yeah, that quilt was one that my first wife or her mother or somebody made for us for a wedding present, so we didn't.
So you used it for 30 years?
So we used it for...
How many years? 24, 23, 24 years.
We used it. That's why it was starting to get little threadbare holes in some places. And
ripped. It was a piece quilt, and you know how they rip.
It was getting a little bit ripped up on the surface, but...
Well, why didn't you put your winter one on then?
I didn't know we had winter ones.
You have summer and you have winter
I didn't know that.
bedding. You never watched Martha Stewart? She has summer and winter bedding.
I wouldn't even know where to find it in the house when I married you, hardly.
See? He doesn't, I asked him, what's in all those drawers? I don't know. He doesn't even look in any of the drawers.
I don't look in those drawers. There weren't my stuff in them.
He doesn't know where anything is in
I know where my stuff is.
Yeah.
I just give you empty dressers and you put stuff in them.
This practically all is yours. Drawers.
Yeah, practically all.
And over there in the credenza is yours.
No, everything on this side, this stack of drawers.
He gave them to me.
That's not my stuff. I've got all my business papers on this one, and then in the bottom drawers I've got all my books and stuff on gardening and
I know what's in all your drawers, but you don't know what's in my
And
drawer.
then I got my aquarium junk in the big long drawer. And
Can you imagine living in your house and you don't know what is in cupboards and drawers? Did you ever think, I'm going to go open that drawer and see what's in there?
no, because you got 100 of them up there. I'm not going to waste time opening 100 different drawers. Probably wouldn't remember what was in them anyway.
I know, but aren't you ever curious? I mean, even some of the grandkids
I
are
have
curious and they got to go open drawers and look.
Over there where we keep our little receipt box and stuff.
Yeah.
I've opened some of them. I just find a drawer full of socks or a drawer full of your underwear or a drawer full of whatever.
Did you get excited?
And then I don't remember which drawer it was that had which was which in it.
When I was laid up, I had you get in a drawer to get my underwear
Yeah.
for me. Go open
I had
that
to go
drawer.
get your-
My grandma always said that her mother was so organized and neat and tidy. If it was in the dark, she could find everything in the drawers in the dark. And I always wanted to be like
Too
that.
bad you're,
I am. I know.
too bad you're not that way.
That is rude. You just said you open it and there's all socks, or you open it and it's all underwear. I know I know what's in them. No, it's my tools or my things I put away. I don't know if it's there or there, because I have two places that they could go in.
Are those yellow flowers out by the bog filter, are they bachelor buttons or buttercups? I think I've always thought they were bachelor buttons, but I think they're buttercups.
I don't know. They're yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you get pink ones?
Because those only come in yellow.
Oh, that's why we have yellow. Anyway,
Well,
I'm
they're
going to
bog-
clean, the table needs to be cleaned off in there.
They're a bog plant, and so only bog plants are planted up in there. If we get the irises and stuff that were planted up in there, they were kind of purple and white.
I explained to the lady about the dandelions that I dug out on the grass. I showed them the whole pastures in the whole town have dandelions.
I know you could get a dump truck load of dandelions from anywhere.
In any pasture,
No, we
any
just
one
don't.
pasture.
We just don't want them in our lawns and
So
flower beds.
we're not keeping the bees hungry, or they're not going to get
No,
their...
their flowers in the flower beds have plenty of blossoms for the bee nectar and stuff.
and the honeybees. So we didn't kill the dandelions, and it's going to kill the bees.
Now
So-
there's a plague of dandelions everywhere here.
Somebody,
There's plenty
they
for
weren't
the bees.
original to the valley, and there's a
They're
story.
not originally to the United States.
And the pioneers brought them because they ate them.
Not the pioneers,
Who?
the early people coming into the United States, the pilgrims, that's what the word I was trying to think of.
No, there's a guy at church that says his grandmother brought him over and planted him when she came here.
Well, I think all the other pilgrims did too. It wasn't very long
Because they
until-
made salad out of them.
wasn't very long until the whole United States was covered with one big.
Have you tried
Dandelion field.
eating one? A dandelion leaf?
Yeah, I've eaten them, but they're real bitter, and you got to cook them I've never actually picked them and cooked them, but that's what you got to cook them to
We're
make
not
them.
that hungry.
If you just eat them raw like the cattle do, they like that bitter
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you a story.
white sap that comes out.
Did
of
you know that the blossoms, have you ever, when you were a kid, you picked them and then your fingers went in your mouth and you tasted it and it was horrible, remember?
They used to make dandelion marmalades and different
I
things.
know, I've heard
They'd
that.
take the blossoms and do
No, but
something to...
here's what you're doing, Jamie. If you're breastfeeding, this is what the pioneers did. If you're breastfeeding, maybe the
When
pilgrims.
you want to wean your baby, you eat something that makes your
you
milk
rub
really go
the
bad
flour. You rub the flour on
on your
your,
nipples.
and then the baby nurses, and they don't like it.
They don't like that flavor.
So they quit. So if you want to wean your baby, just go pick dandelions. You can only wean them in the spring, in the summertime when the dandelions are out. I never tried it, but they have that
Well, what you
finger,
do when
the
you-
thumb sucking and the finger
when
biting.
you break the dandelion, it
that
leaks it.
juice, yeah.
It's latex sap,
It is?
and that latex sap has real bitter. They'd rub that sap on their nipples, and then it would make the little baby hate the nipple.
Of course, they probably didn't prevent him till they were pretty old. But I did use, I bought the stop your thumb sucking medicine in that bottle.
It's all the same type of thing.
It's bitter stuff.
Something that's real bitter.
So the kids won't bite their fingernails. And so Hillary, she was 2, and I had to wean her. And so I used that on me, not her. And then of course, she could talk, and she goes, I want to try the other one.
Try the
Because
other
this
one.
one tasted, so she tried the other one, and then she's going, it's not good. It weaned her. So that was a good idea. At 2, she finally got weaned.
What was surprising is that I heard that some of the Inuit Eskimos up in Alaska in the olden days, they didn't have,
I'm scared what he's going to say.
they only had the sill blubber and the whatever they could find to eat was mostly what they harvested out of the oceans. And so the babies, they didn't have a lot of mushy little baby foods and stuff to feed them. So the Inuit would nurse their babies till they were about 5.
Oh, yeah.
The United States, people would think it was crazy to nurse a baby that long.
Well, they also nursed 2 babies at the same time.
Well, that's because they were nursing the older one till they were 5. Then they'd have another baby.
Even
and then
3. Even 3.
They'd have to. But I think one of the reasons they nursed them so long is so they could get big
Food.
enough to start eating the sill.
I love my new sandals
Blubber and
for
stuff.
$8. They're very comfortable and
Yeah, they look cute. They
sparkly.
you have to look close at them because they almost look like little seashells. The weaving on there.
Oh, we need to go on another cruise so I can wear them. But we don't have one booked.
I didn't get any breakfast or lunch today. I just had a glass of orange juice. I gotta go find me something to eat. It's only 2:45. It's probably time to have something to eat for the day.
That's probably why you don't feel good. Your blood sugar's low. You had orange juice, though.
I drank that orange juice trying to get some sugar. I thought the sugar would pep me up a little bit and give me some energy, but it didn't. And I've had a headache all morning, so maybe the headache was partially
Maybe
because
you need to drink more liquid water. Our brains are made of water, a lot of water, and they need water. If you get a headache, it's probably because you need water. That's
Well,
what Trevor told me.
From the time I got up this morning, I was feeling totally drained of energy, like I had no energy to even move.
These are my new favorite shoes. They're so cute.
Yeah, they are really cute.
Comfy.
Those little pearl buttons in the middle there, they kind of remind you of those old what are they? Brooches that they used to wear back in the 1920s.
Cameo.
Cameos, or whatever they're called.
Yeah. Well, okay. We're going to go now because he's going to go eat. And I know you're wondering, why doesn't Angela go cook him lunch? They're thinking that, they're going to comment now. That's terrible that you don't go cook him lunch and breakfast and everything. They're going to think that, and they're going to comment about that because that's what they say.
You can come down and cook something for supper if you wanted.
Well, the problem is,
We could cook shrimp again tonight if you
you
wanted.
have that chicken and that pork in there. You can't, you got to cook that.
I cooked pork last night.
Okay, then we'll have
Did
chicken.
you have your?
Yeah, I did. We'll have chicken tonight. But the thing is,
No.
lunch, he's on his own. He likes his tuna sandwich. He makes it different than normal. You don't mix the tuna salad up and put it on.
No,
He
I
doesn't
just
like it that
spread
way.
the mayonnaise and dump the tuna on.
Chunkette tuna on top.
And when I had the babysitting kids and Credence and those here, I made tuna sandwiches for them that way. Credence says, "Oh, your tuna sandwiches are 100 times better than my mom's,"
And when he
or
worked,
something like that.
when Jamie used to work in his lunchbox, he would take the mayonnaise, no, Miracle Whip, and tuna, a can of tuna. Did you have a can opener?
Probably had a little one or something.
And the loaf of bread, and he would just make the
Just make
sandwiches,
your own sandwiches
right then, and not ahead of time. I hate old tuna left over and made a
I
sandwich.
know, but if you mix it all up with all your
yeah,
goo like everybody else does, then you let it sit there for 3 or 4 or 5 hours before you eat lunch.
it stinks, and I don't
Then
like
you got a soggy. Sometimes
Bread.
it sogs up the bread, and
I hate the smell.
then having the tuna and the mayonnaise mixed, you just don't get that pure tuna flavor.
You know what I've been craving?
Even Credence noticed that they were so much better tasting.
Yeah. But you know what I've been craving? Egg salad sandwich.
I know it's been a while since we've had any.
Because eggs have been too expensive to just eat like that. How are they now? I don't even know what they are now. I know a lady had chickens. She was wanting $6 a dozen, but Trevor's old neighbor has them for $4 a dozen.
Yeah, and then you go into the store and they're $4.25 or something.
Are they?
You're not going to go buy $6 eggs from the neighbors down here.
They're organic.
And then we got some eggs from one of our friends up there.
Don't say it.
I won't say the name. And I got them home and the eggs are all poopy. They hadn't been washed. If the eggs aren't washed, you don't know what in the heck you're getting.
Yeah, you have to wash them. But that lady from Iran we've been watching, or wherever she's from, she was washing her oranges before she peeled them.
They had apples and oranges and potatoes, all that kind of stuff. They wash everything.
But the oranges, I never wash an orange before I peel it. Maybe we're supposed to.
Well, some cultures are different.
You're not supposed to touch your nose when we're filming.
If I rub it like this?
No, you're not. You can't do that. That's on the
ears.
list of don't talk about, don't do.
I get little blisters on my ears.
It's terrible. I think he has skin cancer right here in his neck.
I might.
It's an odd shape. It's growing. It's not raised though.
I know, but see, I got a rough spot right here. And what I've found, if I get a bump on this arm, then I get a bump over on this arm.
Oh, that's
If I get something going funny on this side of my face, then I get the same thing on this side.
But what's weird, I got on my leg here 2 little bites right here.
They
Looks
look
like a snake bite. And then he said he had it on his knuckles.
Mine was a little teeny bite. And
a snake bite on his hand. So while we were sleeping, we got bit by a snake.
I dug that one off right there.
We don't want to hear that.
But every time I get these little scabs, if I dig them off, then I bleed.
Because you're on blood thinners.
That's the reason I got all these little...
And he has seborrhea, psoriasis, or eczema or something. What's on your head?
Ever since I got this bad heart,
Eczema?
It's either eczema or psoriasis, but psoriasis and eczema are an immune deficiency.
He has it.
Your immune system starts attacking your skin, and then your skin tries to outgrow it, and then it forms the big, thick, crusty patches.
Poor thing.
So my complexion has got really super bad ever since I had the bad heart. I don't know why it's... There's supposed to be a anti-immune drug that you can take, but I hate taking those if your immune system's keeping you from getting cancer and all this other stuff. I hate to take drugs to suppress it.
What's keeping you from washing your glasses? How do you see out of them?
I can't.
They're so dirty.
I just wipe it from this side to this side and then back to this
They're so dirty. Mine are too. We need to hire somebody to come in just to keep our glasses clean for us.
I have
Every hour, take them off, wash them, and give them back
I
to
have
you.
one of those cloths for cleaning your glasses right over here, and I wipe my glasses.
Does it work? You need to get wet, probably. Get the
I
grease
wipe my
off.
glasses every day, and it gets it where I can see for a while. Again.
No, because you got to use Dawn soap and get the grease stuff off with water and soap. Then you can use that cloth during the day. But once you have your grease from your tuna or your eggs or whatever.
But then I use the Dawn soap in the kitchen, then I go and try to use one of the white towels by the stove or
No, you
something
can't.
Then I'm just smearing grease
Back on. No, those towels
smear
are not.
grease back onto it. I know.
Use a paper towel. Did you think of that? A paper towel,
Sometimes
a brand new one.
I use my napkins that I'm using for clean. I use napkins instead of Kleenexes.
Yeah. Did you notice anything different about me?
Oh, you're sweet like always. I noticed you got, I don't think I've seen that little...
It matches the necklace and the earrings, too.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it.
Well, I don't know if I remember this shirt.
No, oh, it is the first time I wore this house dress with pockets.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. No, the new thing about me is I have a darker makeup on, face makeup.
I put a darker stuff on my deck.
Because I noticed my other makeup was too light. So I got out the darker one and mixed it with the lighter one, and I think it's a better color, but you didn't even notice.
Oh, I feel like I'm getting something prickling me right here.
Voodoo doll. Do you believe in voodoo dolls?
I don't know. Probably not.
Would you buy one ever?
I believe that Satan has a lot of power. Maybe he has little things that make the voodoo doll
If you're
work
inviting somebody,
through his power.
if you're inviting him in for evil spirits and stuff,
You have to have some kind of a supernatural effect on it. It's either got to be God doing something good or Satan doing something bad.
I don't know, because man's pretty hopeless. I don't know. I don't want one though.
No,
I don't want a Ouija board. What are those called?
Ouija board.
Ouija.
Ouija board.
Isn't that how it's
You
spelled?
can have an Ouija board. Darling.
Isn't that how it's
just fine.
spelled? It's spelled with the O-J, Ouija.
I know, we've been watching these programs from China. And I've been watching the spelling of these names and stuff from China. XHJ, and then it's spelled Chi, or
Yeah.
it's SH instead of XHIJ, or
We're lost.
whatever they.
Now, I
like
could,
they put
Jamie,
anything.
if you could do this too, you could open up a seam and buy a bat and put inside of here if you wanted a real thick, warmer blanket. Do you want me to do that? He doesn't. Okay, I won't. But you could. I'm always thinking.
I like these woolly warm blankets.
Yeah.
They're nice to cuddle up on the.
They don't, we used to have quilts. They didn't have these soft blankets.
If we'd had this down here, I could have said,
Well, Clint.
I could have told Clint, wrap yourself
Look,
in this.
feel this one.
I
Clint
know.
could have had this one. It's really nice.
It's really a soft, nice. I use this one to sleep, pull over me.
And there's
when
that
I'm
one
taking a
there,
nap.
too. I know, that's why I have them here.
They're really.
Well, you could shut the door over there, too. Why is it open?
Well, I don't know why it's perfectly fine in here for me. I don't know why he's such a wuss that he can't even take 65-degree weather.
Don't say bad things about your children. They will get mad at you on here.
That's
Remember?
okay. Let him get mad.
Now, but we've been making a mistake because we watched China channels and they show the factories are empty and all the stuff stacked and they can't sell it and they're just out of business. But then we hear that
Well,
All the other countries are keeping the Temu factories going. We only have a small portion of it.
the United States is like 40% of their whole business.
So they're still going over there. Canada, UK, Australia.
They're trying to increase their sales. They said over in Australia that the Temu trucks are so packed so full they can't hardly. They said they're trying to dump all of their product. The 40% that was normally going to the United States,
Yeah.
they're trying to dump into Canada and into Australia and into
Well, anyway, so
Vietnam and
we
everywhere
were
else.
believing that the factories were empty because we saw those pictures, but it's not true. They're still doing fine and selling.
But there's a lot of the factories that were catering just to the
iPhones or something.
just to the U.S. market. They had to just
because I think like a
close
made an
down.
order, and then the people they ordered the fabric to make the order, and then they canceled it.
This one factory that they had a big giant order come in, and the factory owner bought up $5 or $10 million worth of raw materials to manufacture, and then they called up and canceled the order.
So they're going to go bankrupt.
Now the factory owner's stuck with $5 or $10 million worth of raw material product that he can't use and can't pay for, so that's making him go bankrupt.
Yeah. But the suicide rate's up, they say, with those Chinese, from people who are out of work and stuff. That's what I heard. But you can't believe everything on YouTube. And people think that you quote, and you're a smart man, and then you just watch Fox, and so you don't know everything. But you tell them you watch every other channels too.
No, this YouTube stuff I'm watching has nothing to do with Fox.
I know, but people think that about you.
That's
But he
okay.
watches Australian news. He watches everything.
I like Sky News from Australia.
And he watches a lot of different everything.
Then
He has all day to watch it.
There's that news channel from Algeria or whatever it's called.
So he researches everything and does his studying. So don't criticize Jamie for not. If you attack him, you're attacking me because we are one and the same. Kinda. Although I like clean sheets and he likes well-worn in sheets. But it's like, we're on the same team. Go team, go.
Well, we do have compassion. When we see the Chinese people suffering, we have compassion for them. When we see a lady over in Afghanistan trying to live in a hole in the ground.
Or Iran, wherever she is.
Broken back and trying to take care of 4
little
kids
children
that can't do much to help. When you see any of that kind of stuff, you have to have
your heart,
your sympathy, and I guess some of the people that watched her channel, they said they paid for her hospital.
Yeah, I saw that.
Her hospital stay that she had. Some people came in and donated all that to her. Somebody brings her food every day. That all that kind of stuff is good.
Probably the person who is in charge of recording, and they're making the money off the channel because she has a lot of views, and every day is a video. And so
the guy just goes up and then when
he probably gave them the camera.
Fell and got buried in the cave, whoever was filming didn't help dig her out.
I think it was the son. They gave the son the camera. He's always up there, positioning it and stuff.
Sometimes this little son, a 10-year-old, is running the camera when the regular camera guy.
I think they might be called orphans because where's the dad? We never heard about a dad. But the little babies.
Well, that's why it calls her a widow.
And orphans. I don't think she's raising they're her children.
They said that she had 2. They call her a widow, so she apparently doesn't have a husband.
Yeah.
Maybe he got killed in the Ukraine war.
Maybe.
And now she's got some kids that I guess 2 of the kids were orphans that didn't have anybody
we don't know.
We don't know the whole story there, but
But I know somebody's making money off from YouTube having it.
It's a very sad. Well, and then there's a dozen other
Yeah, there's more than just
YouTube
that.
shows on there of these people that are digging caves up in the mountain.
And the
This
rocks.
one was breaking through the rocks, digging their cave out, and then they got a guy to come in and cement a little layer on. Their cement was only that thick all over. Just enough to give it a flat surface.
But when you start watching one, then they all come up.
Yeah,
and
you
so,
watch one of them, and then all of a sudden there's a dozen of them showing there.
Not that we want to see them all. I had to go through. I only subscribed to this one star.
It's like these older people that live in. They're always talking about
Carpathian or something.
The old lady that lives in the mountain or whatever shows her packing her hay up to her cows, and
they always build on a hill and have to climb up to.
I know, and they're all on the tops of the mountains, and they look down into this valley where you can see the roads and other farms, and
they don't have running water.
These up on these mountain tops where they are, that's the coldest, windiest part of the environment.
The thing is, Jamie said, they all have a spring of coming out.
Yeah, about 500 yards away, they got this spring.
Instead
there isn't any of them that can run a hose from their spring to their house.
Or build their house downhill from the spring so they could have gravity fed.
So the gravity feed the water.
Instead,
there was one of those ladies that had running water, though.
Well, I know some of them aren't as destitute as others.
Some of them have more stuff. But it just lets you realize how
blessed we are.
How many thousands and thousands of people live in the world that don't have. And over in Africa, there's one show where a lady went over and married this bush tribes guy, man, tribal guy.
We get it.
Whatever, and how she's trying to learn how to be the wife of a tribal person. And
I didn't see that. Was she good at it?
Well, they just had an update on what her life's doing lately, but
they don't want to hear it.
There's so many people in the world that doesn't have even the basic,
even your own son,
even the basic things like
his son lives off the grid.
Most of them have these old bent up rickety pots and pans.
Aluminum,
They're all aluminum pans, which
they're 96. They did get Alzheimer's from him. And then there were old stoves, but that's what Clint is how he lives.
Over in Ukraine used to be Russia. All those stoves and everything built when Ukraine was part of Russia. And
no, but one of them, the lady said this was built in 1980. Her stove,
when it was barely Russia breaking.
I know, but to me that's not that long ago. I guess it is.
No, it's only 60 years old.
No, 80, that's 40 years.
Okay, 45.
I think your wood stove should still be good after your brick oven.
I know, but the way they build them,
it probably doesn't have rebar in it.
It's not like they have a metal shell like our stoves. That completely enclosed and stuff.
They paint the outsides of them.
That's just how and then they've used them to cooking in for everything they've cooked.
How many times opening that little door?
I know.
Every hour.
They always have to open the door and shove more wood in, and dang, something.
But I know for a fact, if we lived in Afghanistan, wherever, Iraq, that we had to have a mountain and a house dug in the mountain with the rocks, Jamie would make it nice. I know he would make it really good.
Well, if I was
out of rocks.
If I was a little bit younger.
Yeah. But he would make it beautiful and have a nice entryway. I just know him. Wherever I lived, he would make landscaping.
You can see these people,
but they aren't used to that.
They're bringing in sacks of bricks and stuff, and they're trying to do stuff, but they're not good bricklayers, and they're not they stack their rocks, and they're not good rock layers, and
No, they're hurrying.
they're all doing the best they know how, but
Yeah.
they I definitely would do.
If Jamie was
a
building a
better
fort,
job.
they're like forts. Our kids used to build forts out in the field
Well,
and
that
stuff.
10-year-old
That's what they're like.
That 10-year-old boy was out trying to stack a rock wall up.
Yeah.
He could barely lift the rocks and throw it up on and hope it was the right shape to fit where he threw it.
When Trevor was in Ecuador on his mission, on their day off, they said, well, today we have to go help a guy tear his house down and then rebuild it. In one day, they did that. Well, it was like a fort.
It was a cardboard box or
Yeah,
something.
it was like a fort. And they built it with just a hole in the floor and on stilts because, that was their toilet. And anyway, I said, in one day you finished it? He goes, yeah, we finished it by the night time. I said it was like a kid's fort. But the weather's warm, so they don't have to worry about insulation, probably.
I know the thing is they don't have any decent building
They
material.
don't have any money.
They don't have any money. All they got is what bricks they can scrounge up.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even match, and
The best thing is food. They got to get food.
they're doing the best they can for their knowledge
With what
and their
they
money,
have, yeah.
and what they only have so many things available to work with, and
If that little family came here, they would just never be able to go back.
I almost wanted to go get my garden shed up there to the orchard and drag it over there and give
Let
it to
them
them.
live in a garden shed would be better than their rock house. And they have a stove there, a brick. They made it.
Well, the front door is just a piece of plastic that pulled down.
But then the little baby's
Stuffed in
crawling
there.
around right by the fire. I'm just like, that baby's going to get burned. And
know,
they
then they
didn't
had
act concerned.
The kid was cooking some pasta or macaroni or something, and she had a big boiling pan of water right there, and the little baby was right there playing.
And I'm like, even if he didn't touch the fire, if he touched that pot, he'd get burned.
I guess they have to learn quick.
Maybe he did get burned before, now he knows, but it's scary. And then she took it out, all three of them, and I didn't watch the beginning, so I don't know if she just cooked it or what. But anyway, those three little kids.
That was what the little boy had cooked.
Anyway, the three little kids just had their hands and they're eating the spaghetti just right out of the pot.
I think the one boy did have a spoon.
The one I saw, it was
you needed a fork, and then the little teeny kids, they couldn't run the spoons and forks. So
now today was different. They were out in the yard, not in their house, and they were just taking handfuls of the spaghetti noodles, all of them, just eating it right out of the pot, all three of them.
Well, a lot of even the old people in that other show where
they don't use silverware,
dug into the thing, they were eating rice or something, and they just scooped it
with
up
their fingers. I've seen that.
Using you'd think basic.
But I did see the
utensil or something.
She cut a watermelon up, and she cut it in little pieces. And the man that was helping him build, he had a pocket knife, a little tiny blade, but he got it out, and he was using that to stab the watermelon to eat it, not his fingers. So I did see that, but they just do what they have to do. And it seems like they always wash their hands before they eat.
Yeah, they always wash pretty good.
So one person pours the water while the other person is...
Probably better than we do. Except for
Speak for yourself.
Except for the little baby. They were trying to get him to wash his hands, and he wouldn't.
No, and then the water was dropping onto the ground, the dirt, and then the little baby, his foot slipped out from under and went right in that dirt mud. So then they had to put his foot up there and try to get it clean. I just laughed. The mother's real patient. Anyway, if you want to ever look at it, the channel is just Star, S-T-A-R. And then I typed it in and it came up.
It's just really sad though when you see how much we have
and the waste that we throw away.
How little they have, that they're using any little scrap of wood, any little,
like for instance,
mismatched anything to go.
we have a graveyard of appliances. The stove, the top cracked, so we can't use it, but the oven works. They would probably love the oven. I mean, of course they can't because
they would just use the stove part as a
probably. And then
counter.
we have a microwave. It still worked, but the inside was so rusty, so the turntable didn't go around and everything. But we're checking it because who wants a rusty microwave? But people like that might love a microwave if it, the motor still works. Then I have an ice maker, and it works sometimes, but not all the time. You have to work with it and push it and, try to make it work. But I checked it and got a new one because it's driving me nuts. It's just such a throwaway world. Whereas if you were really, really poor, you would just deal with it and try to fix it and make it work. Like I had a washer once that the water didn't come in. So I had to unhook the hose at the back and fill it and then start it, And I didn't have any money to get another one, so I just had to do that. Something was broke, I don't remember, but I had to use that hose to fill it and wait and then shut it off, and then it would run the rest of the cycle. But nowadays, if that was the problem, we'd either hire somebody to fix it or we would get a new one. But when you're poor, you do what you have to do.
Well,
my car, for instance, when I had the 4 boys and it was a stick shift, and they'd have to get out and push me, and I'd pop the clutch, and then I'd go slow, and they'd all jump in, and we would go off to church or something. The neighbors watched, and they always laughed, told me later how funny that was. But it was like, that's what I had to do.
Pop the clutch.
To get the starter or something would go out of it. But I was poor, and so it worked. And then you backed in, and you parked on a hill because you knew you were going to have to, pop the clutch to start it. So you didn't want anybody in front of you, and you just learned.
Well, all the life while I was growing up, my dad always had this saying that poor people have poor ways.
Oh, no, I still sewed, and I dressed everybody very nicely. I would come into church with the homemade dress on, and I'd put braid on it, and it was beautiful, gold buttons and everything. And then my mother would go, and you're a welfare mother, because I looked so good. And my kids, I made them suits and everything because I didn't want them to be poor kids. And I always made sure their hair was freshly cut, because when it started growing out, they looked like a poor kid, long hair, and couldn't afford a haircut. So I really concentrated on trying to keep up the house clean, the entryway clean, not looking like a,
There were some things, though. My dad sometimes he tore a school down one time, and of course they have to save all the old nails. My dad was the worst to do all this. He was the first one to say poor people had poor ways, but then
he did it. He knew.
Then he would be the worst to do it.
Well, he was in the Depression.
He would save all these old bent nails, and then he'd spend hours out there in the winter or whenever he had any spare time. He had an anvil, and he was there tapping the nails, straightening them, and that one's good enough. Then he'd straighten another one, straighten all the old nails. I would take his bucket of straightened nails down to try to do some fencing or something, and I had to nail up braces, or I'd get the nail about halfway in and it would bend again. I got so fed up trying to pound once the nail bends, it weakens. And then you start trying to pound it through something hard, and it just buckles and bends. And
my new ones do that too, even though if it's not a used nail.
I used to get so fed up trying to pound those old. You can take a brand new nail and drive it right through.
You can
take the old bent one that Dad straightened, and so when Dad left the ranch to me and quit working there as much, I took all those old buckets of nails and threw them all away.
He bought the ranch from his dad, though.
I could not stand to try to use those old bent nails. I was into construction, building houses and everything, and we always had new nails, and we were good. You could pound them into anything you wanted. And
what if you had a bad hammer?
No, bad hammer is... Sometimes your hammers would get wore off. They'd be like hammering with a ball peen. hammer, the heads would get too
Rounded?
rounded.
Oh, can you flatten them again? Sand it?
We tried. They don't work right after you try.
Oh,
Can't get
really?
them the right shape. But anyway,
Never thought of that.
my dad was always trying to straighten old bent barbed wire and rolling up all these big rolls of all this old broke up wire.
No, what he did, I was surprised when I moved
But
here.
it's because he didn't feel like he had money to afford new, so
He probably didn't.
he would try to make do with the old.
But when I went,
that was
this
the
one
meaning.
building he had, a shed he built. There was a sawmill, and they had 2x4s that were cut out, short. And they would just stack those. The whole building was 2x4s made into a building. Hammered to the bottom, I don't know how they did it, but they were just a 2x4.
Well, they were all stacked like brick
Yeah.
and then hammered together.
I never saw a building
was our
built like
little-
that.
That was our little garage
A shed.
wood
thing.
shed.
But they didn't have to buy wood then, they were scraps. So
Well,
any
my
scraps
dad-
they used.
My dad, they had a sawmill up there where they made studs, tuba-fours. It was kind of famous there for a little while for its studs, the stud mill. And then they would, for some reason, they would cut a bunch of them, and they would either just send them up the line they had a big giant burner that they run all the ends of the logs and slabs and all the scrap, sawdust, everything got run into the big giant burner and got rid of, and they let people come and get their firewood out of. You could back your pickup right up to this big conveyor, and my dad brought quite a few pickup loads home of 2x4 ends, and they were all cut different lengths, and anyway, he'd bring them home, and then he'd go lay one course of them, and then another. He'd make sure that the top course would lap the bottom.
Seam, yeah, the seams.
The bottom seams, and he nailed up his three. This building only had 3 walls. The front was open for a garage, and
But that where you put your canoe out there, it was one of those buildings too.
well, then they'd throw away all these 2x2s scraps. I think he tried to make some buildings out of the 2x2s by nailing them together. Seemed like our old gas shed and stuff was nailed together.
I remember.
the
I never
two-by-twos
saw
and-
anything like that before. So I looked at it.
But my dad, he was too cheap to go and buy new stuff. He says he didn't have a lot of money, and so, but he was very ambitious about
His time.
trying to save all the old barbed wire and every time I'd use his old barbed wire, I'd start stretching up the fence, and boom, it'd break somewhere else. And you go splice that together and get it all almost tight again, and then it'd pop somewhere else.
Oh, that would be aggravating. All right, they got to go because we've been keeping them an
So-
hour. They got to go, honey.
My dad was the worst one for having
Recycling.
poor ways because of his being poor.
Yeah, the toilet. Tell that toilet story, Radon.
The poor people have poor ways because they
His sister was building a
don't
house.
have money to do it right.
And something to do with the bathroom, and there was
And
a
he had
broken toilet
Had an old toilet somewhere. He tried to hook
with a
up there
crack in
for.
the tank or something, and he wanted to use it. And I remember him having a fit. Just go buy a new one. You can't just use an old toilet. It's
Toilets
broken.
were only $100 at the time.
And he wanted to use that cracked one, and
Use some old cracked toilet that somebody else is going to have to go rip out and put a new one in.
I remember that.
Yeah, I loved my dad, but he definitely was too poor to have good ways sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, they got to go. It's like the people come to our house visiting, and then we
Well-
talk forever, and they got to go.
It's like those people that are living in their little caves. They really don't have, they're poor, and so they don't have the option of
Nice, yeah,
doing anything nice or doing it right.
yeah.
And so everything they do is kind of like the poor ways. They have poor ways the way they do it because of their condition, their financial situation.
Yeah, it's sad.
And you feel really sad for them.
But some of these rich people you'd like to see going to a third world country and trying to live and let them see what it's like.
Some of these rich people
Yeah.
need to be stuck up on a hillside and make them dig their own cave and
Diddy and all those
Try to-
people. He was
try to live in their
world.
see how good they do. They wouldn't be anywhere near as good as
Uh-huh.
these people in surviving.
All right. It's an hour and 5 minutes. Sorry.